All right, coming back at you again. First and foremost, want to give up praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kakwadash. Double honors. Want to give double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well. And to the hopeful elect, peace, blessings, salutations that consist of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, and the West Indians. And I'm going to let this video rock. Evidently, we're discovering, which, Esau tried to put everything underneath the rug, sweep all his wickedness, his evils, his trickery, snares, and his traps that he brought upon our people. It's coming back to haunt him. Esau thought he can hide, being a fugitive that he is. Esau thought he can hide forever, and then hide underneath Christianity and so many terms and terminologies, and then skate off scot-free with no judgment. What's that scripture? Something about the spewing of things. Can't remember. I'm going to let this video rock. I'm going to let this video play. And I'm going to bring forth scriptures and I'm going to end it.
Let them have it. The Lord bless me like that.
Top 5 credit hacks if you have...
My mattress has been gas.
What the hell?
Top...
Let them have it. The Lord bless me like that. The woman running the household, she running the household now. Things don't go like she want to. That's when trouble starts. From what I've learned and the way I was raised, she ain't leading nothing. The woman wasn't leading nothing. Man ain't got no winning chance of being the man of the house because the women wants to be the man. They want to make the decisions. They want to tell the man what to do. When to go, when to come. And they want his paycheck when he walked through the door. How the government done turn the world around. That's the devil working through the government. They gave the kids and the woman all the rights. Man don't have no rights now. The kids can call the police, they'll come and lock you up, take you out of your own home, and you the provider for the family. The government got that for that's accurate of the law. I ain't saying that it's right to abuse and beat up no woman or nobody. But you ain't got to put your hand on a woman. Woman, just tell them. Just say you put a hand on there and lock your ass up. Free trip to jail. Then who gonna pay the bills? You ain't got no win. That real man now, he don't feel like he have no rights. They'll kill it. Especially a young one. Back in the older days, women respected their husbands. They don't respect the man now. And the government gives them that authority not to have respect for the man. She figure like she don't need it. And after they run him out, then they will take care of her. So what did I got? If I can't raise my children, if I can't say what my children should be, the way they should be raised and disciplined and everything, well, that woman will come in there. If I said don't, she said do. Women lie for their children to the daddy and everything. Cool, that been going on for years. Let a woman lie about a child. Cool, that woman wouldn't do it. Back in the day, that kid had messed up. That woman gonna be the first one to wind up, and mama gonna be the first one to report it. No so-and-so did this at school today. He did. Yeah, I told him I gonna let him see you. I ain't saying nothing to him. I'm gonna let him let you talk to him. That's where they used to go back in the day. Now, your kid can come home and got a spell from school. She'll try to hide it. Mess the children up, man. Ain't no way the world can grow off of what we're working with now.
Back in the day, was they lying about?
Well, a whole lot of them. I'm telling you, when she knew she'd get her ass tore up, she got caught on a lie. Now she ain't worried. Because if the man put his hands on her now, he going to jail. And she knows she got that authority by law. You know what the word is. The little I've read, it speaks on that woman supposed to be a follower, not a leader. Now they in the pulpit and everywhere, running the households and everything. Man ain't got no rights. Got a right to go out there and make a paycheck and bring it home and put it in her hand. Then his rights is gone after that happened. He ain't got no more rights. Shit. Let them have it. The Lord blessed me like that. The woman running the household, she running the household now. They ain't no go.
So there you have it. You have the Jake that's pretty much broke it down to what you see now in this society, which was all programmed. And, nothing that you see happening today just didn't happen just because. This was a decree. This was, when you go into the New World Order checklist, when you go into the elite's plan, this was all the agenda to bring forth the New World Order and ultimately bringing this new system to and roll it out. Once you destroy the system, the Salaki, once you destroy the family, it's pretty much over with. And, that's pretty much like the talk now of Jake now. Majority of the times, if you come around Jake that got some sense, all Jake is seeing that there is a problem here in America with these women, mainly our women, starting with the so-called black woman on down. The family household is messed up. So let me get, what do I want? Let me see. I believe I'm going to start off with Sirach, the third. Probably don't have an NLT. Matter of fact, I'm going to just get the KJV. Bear with me one moment. It's many scriptures I could bring forth, about the women, the order, how women are clamorous, they're stupid, roughly paraphrasing. You go, what is it, about Titus, the aged woman, etc. Sirach 25, I think Sirach 33, but I'm going to see what this says. Sirach 3:1, hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter, that ye may be safe. And one thing, our people did eventually fall. It's like it states, I believe, in Genesis 49. I forgot what scripture, but it talks about the prophecy of Judah. It said Judah is a lion, like an old lion that crouched down. And what happened to Judah, mainly here in in the Americas, and also the Judites that scattered across abroad, so-called blacks that came from the west coast of Africa, which, they're the real Jews. The word Judas comes from the tribe of Judah. And what happened is, pretty much they crouched down, they fell for the system, they wanted to prove themselves to the so-called white man, they trimmed their ways, and pretty much they fell for the system. They lost the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of them being Israelites and them being the real children of the high power, Yahweh. You go into the Hebrew word, Yahweh, it goes into, the name of Yahweh. So, continuing on, verse 2, for the Lord had given the father honor over the children and have confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. And, it's like he was talking about, these women, now that they say going to the government, because women is supposed to nurture up the children to a specific time, especially the boys. And then the boys would have a tutor, a schoolmaster, roughly paraphrasing. And then, woman will be reared up to be married off. And, the sons will be ruled up to be, men, fit for men for, fit for another, basically a man of the nation of Israel. But what you're seeing now is a bunch of just degeneracy. These mothers, just like Jake said, these mothers are just destroying everything. Everything's out of order. When you look at these boys today in America, these so-called black boys here in America, majority are, they're either the LGBTQ or they're just, overly aggressive. They lack a lot. They're just stuck behind time. We grew in, my era in the 90s, they had this notion that women were angels, women could do no wrong, but, in all actuality, women caused our nation a lot of grief. But it says, whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins, and he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure. So it says, whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children, and when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard. And one of the reasons why, our people is just in the condition that we're in, is because there is no honor of the father. There's no honor of men. There's no pushing for men to be men. There's no standard. There's no honor. There's no, there's no virtue. There's no, nothing. Basically, everything is just falling on deaf ears. It's like the Jake said, we can't work with nothing now. That's why ultimately, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to destroy America and these people that's in it. And it's going to be 2/3 of our people that be destroyed with it because, just like the quote, it's easier to raise up a child than fix a broken person. And here it is, you done incorporated, bad habits, bad character. You done caused yourself grief. You have seen things you ought not. You haven't been guided. You haven't been instructed. You have not been instilled discipline. You haven't been distilled anything. And that's Esau wanted that to happen. This was purposely done because they knew these women would break the offspring psychologically and mentally and then physically. So it says, he that honoreth his father shall have a long life, and he that is obedient to the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother. And this is why now these kids grow up and they're not a comfort to their mother. They're a grief to their mother. A lot of these kids, boys, girls, the girls are growing up to be whores and then eventually be put out and just being thrown. Basically, they just become one whores. And these boys, they're either going in the grave or they're going into prison. And by the time these boys somewhat get it together, they're figuring out that the reason why they had to go through these things is because they had a single mother. And their mother 9 times out of 10 lied about their father and kept them away from their father. This whole project thing, this whole ghetto life was created to really destroy our people and to keep us in this condition. That lie that we fell for, to glorify our condition and make this thing a thing of ours, our culture, to, continue that process, to continue that cycle has really been a detriment to our people. And that's why ultimately America has to be destroyed, because it's a system that will not stop unless divine intervention from Yahweh Shah, which Yahweh will send. He that feareth the Lord will honor his father and will do service unto his parents. And ultimately, due to the fact that everybody is so broken up, our people are so broken up. This is why, majority of your grandparents here in America, they get thrown in old people's houses, or they just lose their houses and they just lose everything. And ultimately, we're living in this time now where nobody has a pot to piss in, so your mother, she's getting up there in age. If you're from the 90s, your parents, 9 times out of 10, your father and mother is roughly in their 60s, going into their 70s, and their age, they're depleting. And the fact that this society is where it's at now, everything is so hard, and everybody's burnt out, bills is going up crazy, and inflation, etc. And a lot of our parents somewhat have fucked up their lives, dug themselves in the ditches, etc. And we're coming in that time. It's hard to service or do things for your parents. And then another thing too, our parents are still incorporated in this society, so it's hard to help them at times. So everybody's just falling on deaf ears. Everybody's just looking bad. So as to his masters, honor thy father and mother both in word and deed. So walking it and you talking it. Action, you're saying it and plus action, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children. And again, since Esau broke the power in everything about the men of Israel, our people, the true children of Israel. This is it's and another thing. It's a reason why so-called black men here in America, they bicker with each other. It's like this thing about 50 Cent and all these rappers, and you got all these platforms that constantly going to and push that spirit. Vlad 22. Well, no, Vlad TV, and I think Adam 22, whatever those platforms are, and then you have situations like 50 Cent being paid for, to push forth a bunch of bickering against against all the so-called black rappers, and this just to keep things going. It's a reason why, and it also goes back into the curses in Deuteronomy 28. But the fact that our people have fell for the system is just that cycles just continues. And this, since the fact that Esau, the crack era, and the the complete dysfunction of our people. So basically, what the crack, the cocaine, the heroin, the gang banging in the prison system has really made our people look. Pretty much now, nobody even cares about the fact that our people had great civilizations and neighborhoods and towns of their own that was flourishing. So-called black men and black women and so-called black children. But the fact that they paint the picture so much on the crack, the drugs, the guns, the criminality, and the dysfunction of our people, this is pretty much our image now, and everybody goes with it. So since the father doesn't have the power, the men of our nation don't have any power. Hey, everything's out of course. And then the fact that the women of our nation, they kick even against and destroy their own men. So, but the curse of the mother rooteth our foundation. So since the fact that the image and everything about the so-called black woman is not good. So since she's mentally fucked up mentally, she's basically gonna do whatever that makes her feel good and make her feel accepted. So evil or good, the so-called black woman is going to partake in it. And what really the option is for the so-called black woman is to pretty much use her body and pretty much whore herself out. And that's just the dynamics of how Esau has set the system up to carry out. So this is why, our households, the single mother, black women are the only women on the earth that uplift that single motherhood, not needing a man, constantly bragging, going across the four corners of the world if she could and possible, just to say that the so-called black man is the worst thing ever. But hey, the so-called black woman is our whores. You've been around all men, expose all the men, Don't, just don't be biased, speak about the so-called white man, how he's a freak and he's a pedo, etc. But hey, they don't do that, So verse 10, my bad, Salaki. Glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father dishonor is no glory unto thee. 11, for the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children. And this is what you see, and since the black woman has been put in the leading position, a leadership role, she's fucking everything up. And you see the outcome. We all are seeing the outcome of what the so-called white man putting the so-called black woman in the matriarchy has done, moving them into the projects, got them working on these jobs, got them in high position, and got them, just gadding abroad, with great liberty. The justice system is for them, the court system and everything, but it's for them and it's behind them, so they can do what? Become a reproach to the whole nation. Because once the children, again, all you have to do is turn on channels like Soft White Underbelly, and there's many more. Majority of people that have those problems on Soft White Underbelly, it started from when they was a kid. That dysfunction, that trauma, it happened as a child. Then they grow up, seeing and going through things which a child ought not to be have to go through, especially without no guidance, no instruction, no tutor, no mentor, no guidance, no protection. They're just fighting for themselves, you know. But that's pretty much it. Lord's we was edified with that, and I'm gonna say shalom.